He snatched the gun from the police officer's hand and pointed it at himself. Luckily, the chamber was empty, narrowly avoiding a tragedy. At this point, Mike had completely lost the will to live. And it all started with a fire he lit with his own hands, which killed his 3 young children. By the time the firefighters arrived, they could only save the children's mother. Mike's wife was crying her heart out. Mike stood among the crowd in disbelief, staring at the raging flames. Soon, the fire was extinguished. When he saw the bodies of his 3 children being carried out of the ruins, he realized his mistake and was overwhelmed with deep remorse. The police suspected that Mike had intentionally committed murder and took him back to the station. That night, when he went out to buy alcohol, he was worried that the children would be cold, so he lit the fireplace at home. Due to the numbing effect of the alcohol, he forgot to close the fire screen. By the time he returned, the house had already been engulfed by the flames. After understanding the situation, the police decided to release him. But at this point, Mike wanted to be punished to ease his troubled conscience. Shortly after, his wife chose to divorce him. Having lost his wife and children, he felt life was unbearable. In the end, he decided to move to another city and became a repairman, cramming himself into a small basement. Without the company of his loved ones, he lived a dazed existence day after day. This kind of life went on for more than a decade, until one day, he suddenly received news of his brother's death. Driving back to this heartbreaking city, memories flooded back as he saw the familiar streets. He saw his brother for the last time in the mortuary and said his final goodbyes. At this point, Mike didn't know that his deceased brother had left him with a big problem. His name was Little Pat, Mike's brother's son. The two found his brother's lawyer. After reading the will, Mike couldn't believe it. His brother had actually made him Little Pat's guardian. When they arrived at the funeral home, they received some unfortunate news. Because the ground was too hard in the cold winter, his brother could not be buried. This also meant that his body would have to stay in the freezer for another 3 months. When Little Pat opened the fridge at home and saw the fallen chicken, he started to lose it. He locked himself in the room. Mike was worried that he might do something rash, so he kicked the door open. It turned out that he just couldn't accept that his father, like those pieces of meat, would have to stay in the freezer for 3 long months. Mike didn't know how to comfort him and just quietly stayed with him. Watching his nephew fall asleep in grief, Mike finally made up his mind. He would stay until his brother was buried. That day, he rushed back to Boston to pack his bags. Everything was stuffed haphazardly into boxes, but 3 picture frames were treated differently because they were photos of his children when they were alive. Soon, spring arrived, and his brother's remains were finally laid to rest. Although the story still ends with regrets, perhaps some things simply can't be redeemed, because regret itself is a part of life, and we can only continue to grow and move forward amidst the regrets.